Should you buy an investment property sight unseen? My name is Thomas O'Regan. I've built an 11 property portfolio over the last 3.5 years, and actually, the majority, all of those 11 properties, I have bought them sight unseen, and all of those properties have doubled in the last 3.5 years. So, short answer is I would definitely, me personally, I would definitely buy a property sight unseen, and here's why. First of all, I'm investing in markets that have potential for capital growth, and that is one of the most foundational or most important pillars when it comes to investing in property. And the property you are looking at, the areas that are close to you may not have potential for capital growth. It may not be that point in the cycle where the property market is just about to pop or it's in a slump where you live. So for you to get the best or have the best potential to get a lot of capital growth when you purchase a property, you may have to purchase properties where you are not able to see them. Now, you may think this is crazy, but for me, obviously, it's not, because the majority of the things that I would go to inspect and see a property are I can actually pay someone else to go and do those things. And the most important things for me when it comes to investing, as I said at the start, has it got capital growth? Is this property going to get rented out? And what is the rental income? Does this property positively cash flow? Does it neutrally or positively cash flow? If it checks those three boxes, then it's a good investment. And guess what? Most of those things, you do not need to physically inspect a property to find out whether they are or are not going to perform. Like, for example, markets, understanding what part of the market cycle your whatever property market is in, the property market you're looking to invest in, does not require you to physically go to that market. All it requires you to do is know how to do a little bit of research on the internet, checking the history, the property price histories, and going through figuring out the market cycle. I've done another video on how to figure out what stage of the market cycle you're on, or the area you're in researching. What stage of the market cycle the area you're researching is in. So I won't get into that now because it will just take me like far too long to explain here in this video. But the thing is, you could buy a property and be like stressed out about, oh, but like, what if it's not as I expect it to be? What if the property is not as they are telling me? What if it's not even real? I mean, I never thought in my life that the property I'm seeing on the internet is not real. But even if it wasn't real, you should always get someone that is a building and pest inspector to physically go and inspect the property you are purchasing sight unseen. Now, if you get this building and pest inspector to go to the property that you are purchasing online and you've never seen, and they tell you it's not real, then obviously don't buy the property. And the same goes if the building and pest inspector goes to the property and there's a whole lot of stuff wrong with it that was not disclosed by the agent in the first place, then again, you can walk away. Now, look, me personally, if there was issues with the property, depending on how bad they are, that are discovered after the fact of me putting an offer on the property, I'll renegotiate the property so that the deal still works for me. Because typically the people that I'm buying properties off, or the time that I'm buying a property, is at the bottom of a market cycle. So generally the people that are selling the properties at the bottom of the market cycle are quite desperate. And if you need to get additionally compensated for taking on something that is not how you perceived it to be over the internet, then you can ask for that compensation. And when I say compensation, I mean, for example, if they advertise the property and as if there's nothing wrong with it, and then you get a building inspector to go to the property, he takes a bunch of photos, you see the photos, you pay the inspector, he tells you the yeah, there's no pest issues with it, there's no major defects wrong with it, but he does tell you there's all these other issues with it that are potentially you didn't know about and the agent didn't disclose. Then you can go back to the agent and say, hey, look, you didn't tell me about all this stuff. You didn't tell me the door wasn't broke. It was broken. You didn't tell me there was punch holes in the wall. You didn't tell me the lights were out. You didn't tell me the oven didn't work. All that stuff, for me to fix it, it's gonna cost me $5,000, $10,000, whatever it's gonna cost you. I will proceed with this property and purchase it if you give me a discount. If not, I'm gonna walk away. So when, like, I just wanted to make the point, when there's issues wrong with the property, doesn't necessarily mean it's not a deal. It just means you need to get compensated so the deal still works for you, because there's always going to be a number that you can, or a value that you can purchase the property for, and it's going to be a steal. Like, obviously, for a crazy extreme example, if you're purchasing a property and it was completely riddled with termites, and it was uninhabitable, you would think there's no deal to be done. I'm going to walk away. But the reality is, there is definitely always a price that you can get a deal done that will work. Like, for example, if you I said it's a crazy example, but if you just bought the property for $1,000 or $2,000 and then you just knocked it down, and you were under the impression that the property was in a market cycle, at the slump of a market cycle, and you could see at the peak of a market cycle this property might sell with no property on it, just actually the parcel of land, it might sell for something like $300,000, then it still could be a good investment. I'm just making this example to make the point. There's always potential for a deal to be done, no matter how many issues with it. All right, guys. See you next time. Bye.